What's going on, guys? It is DigiWatchTCG coming to you with another deck profile. Now, sorry if it looks a little bit clustered from my normal setup, or if you see some weird things going on with the camera. I'm having a little bit of troubles with the camera, so I'm just letting you know that right ahead. With that said, we're gonna go over my yellow hybrid profile. Now, decided in the beginning of this format not really to play too much of it, just because. I saw like a lot of people were playing it. I was playing Yellow Hybrid practically the entire BT7, and I just wanted to play the decks I wanted to play, and I have started to, and I'm definitely still using it competitively. But I've been experimenting, and I've definitely been making a couple of adjustments to my Yellow Hybrid deck, and I can tell you that testing online multiple times, I think just so you have a little bit of a scorecard, I believe this deck has won pretty much about 17 of about 20 matches that I did face people on different platforms, on Discord or in person, and it was just too good, and that was over different times. But with that said, before we get into it, please like and subscribe and leave your thoughts below on what you'd like to see left. Now, I gotta give shout outs where shout outs is due. A lot of this deck I did create myself. But then there are a couple of changes which I'll mention, and I'll definitely recommend that you check out Mario Gaming World. He is an amazing content creator. He does a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of this is based on his deck profile, with a couple of changes that I decided to make myself, only because I feel a little bit more comfortable. With how that is set up. And I'll tell you, there is also one change with the card that I don't have on me at the moment, but I will explain why I would possibly play in this deck as well. With that said, let's begin. So, starting with the eggs, we're playing 4 Cubimon and 1 Upamon. So the whole point of this deck is really just to keep your security up and just kind of outlast and grind your opponent. And I played, let me just say, easily. Not like that was a easy matchup, but just like I didn't need to really like think too much about the hand. Like, oh, okay, well, cool. I'll just digivolve, recover one, and then I'll swing and try to delete something. Like, it was very much like one of those kinds of matches where if you know how to play the deck, and I say like the basically you can play any deck that you want, as long as you're knowing how to play the deck and knowing the matchups that you need to play is really what sets you apart and what makes the deck good. Not necessarily every specific tech, although I will mention a few which I think were super good and just came in clutch so much. I'll explain a few of the matches that they took place in. So, keep in mind, for this is basically an extra draw. This, if you're early game, you want to see this more often. Late game, you want to see the Upamon because if you're at less than 3, then you're at risk of essentially dying. So you kind of have to get that. But the majority of time, you're usually at like a 6 or a 5 security, gaining draws, and that's what you want. So that is the eggs here. Going on to our rookies here. Now, the first one I will say is definitely a Mario Gaming recommendation is the 2 Bocos. And I mean, we were playing this in BT7, and it's not really anything really new. It was just whether or not you should play in BT8, and I believe that you should because it makes a target for your opponent. And there were times where my opponent ignored this because they were like, okay, well, I have to worry about the Rapidmon, or I have to worry about like the hybrid that's coming out. And didn't really decide to get rid of the Pokemon, and it was very consistent, surprisingly. Like, unless you were playing a deck like Black or Greymon, or you're playing purple Mastermon decks or stuff like that, this would usually stay on the board for quite a while, unless, like, it depends on the matchup. But if it stayed on board at least for like one turn, I'd be able to bring out a hybrid and then just swing with Pokemon, kind of get rid of one of their security, and then do whatever else I needed to do because I basically used his effect. So that's why he's in here. 2 of him, I think, is the perfect number. I don't see this going up any higher. Going into the other cards here, well, I guess this is not necessarily, this is how everyone has been playing it. 90% of the cards you'll see in here are mainly cards everyone is playing. But that is 3 Patamon and 1 Labramon. So the 3 Patamon here, it should be 4 Patamon in all fairness. But I don't have 4, unfortunately. I'm not going to spend extra money on my non-competitive deck. Although, you know, like if I end up finding one or letting someone borrow me, I'll switch this out. But this one lets you gain a memory when you delete a Digimon by dropping it to 0 through a DP reduction effect. And then kind of the same logic with the Labradormon, except it gets you a draw 1. So it does kind of help out in its own way, and it kind of does a similar effect, although it doesn't let you maintain your turn. And then the last one over here, like everyone else is playing, is to Salamon. You know, honestly, Salamon does not come up as much as you'd think. It does, like, because if you know how to play the deck, then you know that you're never really going to get that close to death. And if that's the case, then, you know, Salamon is just really your level 3. So if there was another card, maybe like putting two more Labramons, I would probably put 2 more Labramons in these spaces personally. But, you know, that is to whomever, you know, plays and stuff. I mean, I know there's decks that are definitely can hit hard. Then we have our 4 Rapidmon. I mean, I'm not going to go too hard into this. It's Rapidmon. This card, I can say, it's not your win condition. That's the one thing I'll say about this. It is your board removal, in that if there's a problem on the board, if they're basically going to go into another Kyogramon with after getting their Dragon mode or something, or maybe you just need to get that Dragon mode like to be in more of a defensive state, then you can suspend it, and that it's really powerful that way. And I remember there was one match I was playing, and they had you know, they gave me a lot of memory. I think they gave me something like 5 memory. I moved up my Rapidmon. I got to something like 6 memory or something like that, and I brought out the Rapidmon Digivolved. I only had I think 1 Tamer, but 1 Tamer was enough because I Digivolved into Rapidmon. I deleted all his 2. He had 2 Digimon, so I deleted his like Stingmon and XV, and gain a memory. So I go back to let's see. So I was at 6, and I went to 2. Then I go to 3. Yeah. So then I do that. He has Dragon mode. It's now suspended and minus 5,000 DP. And then I had enough extra to put in a Cody. So I put the Cody down, and that's 3. That puts me to 0. And then I just swung with Cody, and then tap Cody to get it weak enough that Rapidmon can run over it. And I basically cleared their board, and there was nothing they can do because now it was like I had 2 extra other Tamers. They were very low on security. I just basically controlled the board. So for Rapidmon, absolutely necessary, in the nothing less than that. Going on to our other Digimon, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we all know what it is. We have 4 Kazemon because hybrid. We have 4 Zephyrmon and 4 of the Jet Sylphie here. I'm not going to spend too much time. It recovers. It does its job. Then we get to our, I would say this is going to where you see the most change. And I'll say this is where I made most of the changes from what Mario does with his deck. And that was playing 1 copy of Sakakumon and 1 copy of Shine Greymon. And the reason why I'm playing these 2 specifically is, even though there's nothing here that can be a blue yet, I'll tell you why I say yet in a second. You get still that recovery, which works with the deck. It's the point of the deck. It is an extra cost, but sometimes you can Digivolve onto Rapidmon and not have to worry too much about that. Another choice you could potentially do is Chimeramon, by the way, in this spot as well. But I like Shikakumon. I really like this card, and I'll explain in a second why the other card makes sense. And then Shine Greymon, because if there is a random deck that does wide stuff, or even in a situation where maybe you don't have Rapidmon and you have to go through the hybrid chain, you go into Shine Greymon and you minus 4,000 to a lot of your opponent's stuff. So it's not that it doesn't do anything. It clears the board and still allows you to kind of maintain a good game state. And additionally, when you're Digivolving on top of this, it gives the inherited of every time you attack, you can minus 3,000 to one of your opponent's Digimon. So you can clear rookies, or you can weaken strong Digimon. And sometimes a lot of people forget that this is one of the effects here, and they'll just kind of just swing and do other things. and or even if I'm just swinging at security and I need to get something weakened to trigger like another card, like this is that's why I play it. So anyway, though, those are my choices here. Now, the card I'm missing, only because I don't have it on me, I do have copies of it, I just have it in other decks, is Magnamon. Now, Magnamon can Digivolve from blue or yellow, so it fits perfectly in this deck. It's an armor, which also works well with Cody because it's dual color, it's a blocker, it's 7k, it may come up. Now, I can't find really where I'm going to take something out. I'm thinking potentially I may consider dropping one hybrid, level 4 hybrid potentially, or maybe even dropping a Boko, or even just taking the Shine Greymon out to leave this. But I will say that with the Shine Greymon comes up more than you think. It may, and I just really love this package here. And if I could find the space where the Magnamon will be, that is going to help. And additionally, if you do end up, like just by chance, having this in hand, plus your yellow hybrid, you can DNA into this, and then you can you could recover and bounce a card equal to the number in your security. And keep in mind, even if you don't recover, you could still bounce if, like, let's say you're at 6 or 7 security with a Jet Sylphie. So it's something to keep in mind as a good option in this deck. Now, the other cards we play, nothing too crazy. 2 Ophiamon Fallout modes, we've seen it before, and 2 Susanomons right here. So that is our monster lineup. Going into our others here, I'm not going to go too far because this is pretty accurate, and this is where it does also shift in. I do like Tamers, but I don't like to clunk Tamers together. So 4 Codys, only 4 Codys, 3 Zoes, we have 3 TKs, and 2 TK Karis. And with that said, we're playing 4, 10, 12 Tamers total, and I think that is plenty of Tamers to allow you to win the game. I think that if you are smart and know how to use your cards, you'll be able to definitely outmatch your opponent. Now, if you felt like you want to play more Tamers, of course, you can cut the package here and put 2 more Tamers in instead. That was basically what I took out. I took a Zoe out, and I took a TK out to make room for these 2. And I just really like these over here. So that might be something to consider. And then for the options, I will say that this is definitely a lot of influence from Mario's channel as well, is the reinforcing memory boost, and the 2 yellow memory boost here as your memory package. And then this is the tech that he definitely recommends. I feel like he, in his profile, he explained this well enough that he convinced me, and I was like, you know what, let me try it out. I felt, I'll tell you this, when I took out the Eden's Javelins and the Wyburn's Breaths and other things like that to try to make this deck like more consistent, and I was shaking. I was like, man, this feels wrong. This feels so wrong, taking out the Edens. But you have no, like, it really didn't matter. Like, they swung into, if they hit into security and they blanket their field, you just see this confused look on their face. Like, I don't know what to do now. Like, maybe I'll just play a card. It kind of like screws with their mind in a way. But I've always been an advocate of playing cheap cost cards instead of very high cost cards, and that was my only problem playing in this deck, was playing like the 8 cost high Wyverns and the 6 cost Edens and stuff like that, because it passes turn to your opponent very, very quick. So and I don't like giving my opponent that much memory. Even in my Black Rapidmon deck, which I think it should be up on the channel at some point, or it should be already, I play Breath of the Gods as a way of being able to stop my opponent from swinging and continuing their attack into security. And I play 3 of them in my Black Rapidmon-Build. And it does come up. Like, they'll swing and they'll like, I had a game on board. Oh, I guess I can't do anything else. And then lastly, and then again, this is something that is flexible. I think that this is something that definitely Mario made a good point on, and I've always been an advocate for this, although think about how, when, and how you're going to play it, is the one Blinding Ray. And that really does sometimes count, because if you there was a game, it didn't actually have to do with a hybrid, it had to do with Susano. They put me at 5. They cleared a what's it called, a Ophanimon fall down mode in one of my matchups. Boom, dead. And his effect, the effect activates, brings back a hybrid. So I just had the hybrid, and I had, basically I was about to lose, and I was able to Digivolve into a Jet Sylphie. I had a memory boost, I think, at the time on the field, so I used the memory boost, or something like that. It was something where I was very short on memory, and then Blinding Ray just to give me that extra 2 to put me at 7, and then I just Digivolved into Susanamon, deleted one of his cards, and swung for 3 to his security, and basically was like, he didn't have any other play. He didn't have a way of clearing the board with a Susanamon on board and not passing turn to me, because then he has to play something like Wyvern's Breath to get rid of the Susanamon, and that would pass to me, and I had hybrids in hand, so I could have just Digivolved and swung for game on the next turn. So that was the situation with this. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this build definitely went through a few different iterations. I'm still testing. Again, this is based on around 20 local online against other people. Some are very skilled, some are still new to the game, so take that as it is. You do see people with different experience levels, but it is very enjoyable, and it's very easy in a way. If you know what you're doing, it's very easy, and I really do enjoy playing this deck sometimes. With that said, like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts below. Thanks.